Am I seriously like reading this right as I'm finishing off a Thanksgiving weekend and all that crap? This is real. It's that thing was on Twitter about a month ago. That's all the places? We can't take anybody on a first date? That's almost everywhere. We need to get to the bottom of this. And I wish I could get people online so we can have a talk about this, because literally, I could say it best like Bugs Bunny did. Of course, you know this means war. We need to have a talk about this. And, yeah. If this makes me the bad guy, for a lot of people know who I am in my status, oh well, so flippin' be it. This has gone too far. Way too far. Time to take affirmative action, son. Let's go to work. It's basically pretty much a time at our hands that we sometimes, as men, really need to start coming into our own. Welcome again to this channel, as Jimmy Jam Sessions is back at it again. And if you like a lot of this different content that we do, whether it's hockey related, whether it's the sports world, whether it's Gen Z millennials versus the world, hit that like and subscribe button, because sometimes we need this. Meanwhile, sometimes I have to talk about crap that I don't want to talk about. Politics is one, but we're not doing that. The era of the non-binary, no, we ain't doing that. No, we ain't doing that either. But I wanted to do this. I kind of wanted to do this one, but I wanted to do it with somebody, to do it on our JJ Sessions live podcast. And we're going to do that, once I get a better system of my laptop, so we can do this all over the place, on location, on my laptop, like the volume does. But since I just so happen to be sitting here on a Thanksgiving weekend, which I also do hope everybody had a safe and happy Thanksgiving, by the way. Travel was hectic, everywhere was going. Black Friday was also nuts, which I pray to the Lord above I do not have to work Black Friday for 4 years in a row. And yes, we are thankful, and I am thankful. But I think this is a time where I can just come out and just basically, in my sense, know that as a 48-year-old single guy who's had, I would possibly just randomly throw out and say, I had a good life. But at the same time, there are many people, such as myself, and even people around my age, and maybe there's a bunch of people that are hanging around, maybe a little bit older, maybe a little bit younger, still hanging around the late millennial era, that are trying, not desperately, but having the option to know what you feel like doing. If you have the heart of heart, if you have that ambition, if you have the mindset to find your happiness. That's basically what this whole thing is about. It's not necessarily finding, there's certain like kind of ways to look at it in a way. Certain phrases to look at. Find your soulmate. Find your best friend. Find your true love. Find your happiness. Nowadays, in the way of the world of whomever you just feel like is the best fit for you, doesn't matter if man, woman, doesn't matter if it's the other way around, switch, at this point in my time, as I get older, it doesn't really matter. Find your happiness. But now, with the recent things that I have seen, especially in the last month and a half, 2 months, this is the crazy thing that we live in this society. Men, we all stick together, regardless of race, color, nationality, age limit. We all have the same pretty much goal: find our happiness. But some people don't have to worry about that because they get lucky in high school and it goes off. and they got their happiness in high school and they stuck with it and never left. Most of those people find it in college. You find it's your world of basking on your own in a college environment. You meet a ton of people, whether you go out, you go to bars, you go to clubs, you go to house parties. You could just be standing in line waiting for a freaking $1.50 slice of pizza and you meet your soulmate. Dumb, but it's happened. So let me get to the gist of our pretty much topic, if you will. Let me read you something that has gone down. And I wish I had the graphic because I could just put it on a green screen, but I think people have already seen this and heard this and watched many clips and reels about this on the interweb. As everybody knows, there is that viral list that was created by it's basically, from what I've read, and I could be wrong, but there really was never really an official word of how many exact, who they were, nationality, race, whatever. There was a handful of ladies that created this list. The 28 places you cannot be taken on a first date. So let me read you something. It was on a Fox website, Fox 59 or something. I can't remember where, but apparently this was done in LA, and also taken for granted. Take to note, dating in the entire world, every single region is different. Dating in the suburbs is different. Dating in urban and city atmospheres, they are different. They both mesh. They both are oil to water. It is completely different. Dating sites are completely like almost a sign of false hope, because all that stuff you see on dating sites, a lot of that can work in the city. Most of the time it works in the city. Suburbs, small cities, it's hit and miss. Very hit and miss. Then again, all sites are hit and miss. So let me read you a little bit of what we like to call online literature. A list of unacceptable places to take a woman on a first date is circulating on social media and sparking some backlash. Los Angeles radio station Power 106, remember Power 106 in LA, is one of several accounts that shared the viral list on Twitter X, formerly known as Twitter, obviously. It is unclear who originally curated this list, but it notes that several ladies reached out to help come up with locations featured. Many places listed on this list is popular chain restaurants, and it goes on a certain little paragraph of going beyond the normal stuff that we see around small areas to bigger cities, but it's the major chains, the Applebee's, the Chili's, the Olive Gardens, Buffalo Wild Wings, Red Lobster. Other places include movies, gym, bar, coffee shops, all this sort of stuff. With many locations listed, people are wondering where they can go. Then they started making a little bit of hits, like even Stephen A. Smith saying, "What the hell's wrong with the Cheesecake Factory?" Buffalo Wild Wings wouldn't be a technical place if the lady is not into sports or even beer. And then I saw a bunch of things where it was the funny thing. If you know of a place called Shake Shack, they set a post on Twitter saying, "We're in the clear." And even Dave and Buster's, which there's a handful all around the area, in Pennsylvania, there's not very many. One in Camp Hill near outside of Harrisburg, one at the waterfront just outside of Pittsburgh. They had the best one. And I quote, "Y'all know where to go now." So let me do the best I possibly can to just burn through this list as I and I've already said a bunch of them, that this kind of went in no particular order, but it went all the way from 1 to 28. Cheesecake Factory, Applebee's, Chili's, Chipotle, Olive Garden, Buffalo Wild Wings was in there, all the other stuff, Wingstop, Red Lobster, A Buffet. No IHOP, no Denny's, Even Starbucks was on this list. But I'm going to try to read this down. You can't take them to the movies. Understood you don't want to talk during the movies. I kind of understand that, but unless it's a movie you both wanted to watch. That's kind of a little bit of an asterisk. But then again, you could be with your friends and just go down this list and you're just be like, you're going to try to find, you got to try to find the positive out of each and every single one of them. Some of them there isn't. The movies is a little bit of an asterisk. You both have to agree to go see something you both wanted to watch. But I digress. It's, again, hit and miss. You probably don't want to talk during the movies unless you're actually going to go somewhere and talk about it later. Hint, continuing on with the date. Your house, your apartment, that's also hit and miss because it just depends on the type and personality of the person. Either one. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, sometimes they don't care. But big red flag in some certain circumstances. It goes on to any fast food chain, understood. The Buffalo Wild Wings, Wingstop, Red Lobster, a buffet. They threw IHOP and Denny's. The gym. Now, the gym is kind of sus just because some people can go to the gym and some people are very hardcore about the gym. Doesn't matter if it's a Planet Fitness or anywhere else. Now, if both the people are into it, like they're in CrossFit, I get that. But it's such a place of high ego sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes. So it's a little bit of a hit and miss. Now, church is also a little bit sus because it just depends on everyone's faith. Everyone's faith is different. So it really it's. I have a friend of mine when I was having my rough times over a couple years ago. She literally told me when I was in my rough time. She literally told me, I don't know what's wrong with you, but have you ever considered going to church? Because maybe you might meet some very important people there. You just may end up finding somebody that you like. Anyway, moving right along. Starbucks is on this list. Now, I've never been into a Starbucks, and I'm not a fan of coffee. Sheetz coffee's okay. But I've never been one to basically purchase a small, medium, whatever, grande, whatever for $15. And I know there's Starbucks people who watch this channel. So I'm not sure on Starbucks. Coffee dates is next. Coffee dates is kind of neutral. You don't even have to drink coffee. But that's kind of a place where you don't know if coffee dates are going to turn into anything else. Not that saying that it always does. And it keeps going on to stuff that kind of is like, why? There's ice cream dates on here. Ice cream dates are like coffee dates. You're only going to one small thing. You're not going to you're not spending $900. You're not going to Salt B's place. Family functions, probably not, because it's family. You don't really want to incorporate somebody unless you're actually bringing somebody that actually is officially exclusive into your life. And then there's always movie night, which actually is kind of almost considering the same thing with your house, your apartment, or whatever. Somewhere that requires a long drive, which also means, are you willing to do a long distance relationship in some sorts? Think about it. And then there's also, I kind of, the last handful kind of messes me up, but some are a little bit off. Bowling. Why is bowling on this list? I don't know. I'm horrible at it. I haven't done it in a while. I own a bowling ball. It's actually not a bad thing, but are you willing to, what's the term? Go through with it. Nightclubs is hit and miss because you really got to be exclusive. You're not going there with your girl because basically you're going to have, even both people are going to have eyes all over the place because the place gets packed. It's extremely, extremely hectic. You can't move. You can't really do anything if it's a popular place. You're running out of air to breathe. It doesn't matter if you two are like this. You're running out of air to breathe. There's no room. You can't do anything unless you just stay off the floor. And then they go the last local things called a hookah bar. The Waffle House, that is obvious. Well, that's kind of funny to throw that in there. Sporting events is kind of weird because if the girl likes sports, if the guy likes sports, I don't know why that's on that list. But if she doesn't, then that's obviously a no-go. There is a number 120. There's one called Just a Bar for Drinks, and I understand that, but that's also kind of sus because, in a way of speaking, I'll try to sum this up in a way. And a lot of these places are a little bit hit and miss, but it's also some of them actually. I look at this and I'm just like, who in the heck, who in God's flippin' earth created this list? How are you supposed to know the person? How are you supposed to get to know the person and talk and exchange stuff while we're doing something of the same? What do you want to do? What do you want to do? Walk for 3 miles, 3 blocks? What do you want to do? I look at half of this, I'm like, if you're like a Gen Z person, you easily find somebody on Twitter or something or anybody else or TikTok and just people make stuff up, like people make plans. Sometimes if they're in the area, boom, like that. The city's like so easy. There's like, I mean, if you can't go bowling, then you can't go axe throwing. You can't go to amusement park or whatever. Amusement park's not on this list, but there's little knickknacks. About a quarter of this list is probably, oh, we just decided to throw that in there. I'm kind of hoping sometime I'm just going to get a response and be like, then you must really, really be lonely. No, I must not. No, I'm actually a realist and an optimist because, in a way of speaking, after all these places, you still got to decide something, whether it's the man or not. So, also remember this point, and this was given by the great Chris Rock. He said, when you're going out on a date, you're not meeting them. You're meeting their representative. And then it's like giving the old back and forth talk if there's anything that you're interested in and whatever. That's the way we all are. Even the guys are like that. But then guys are that dumb and we know that. But girls can be somewhat, very, 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 very protective of themselves. But we both, men and women, are out just to try to figure out who these people are that we're actually trying to meet. And it's not necessarily about, well, these dating sites work no, they work for certain people. They work in certain areas. People can try forever and ever and ever and ever. It's just like playing the lottery. You might hit something. But guys, ladies or whatever, I had to burn through this as a little bit of a something. Well, I was thinking about it on my list, and I'm like, thinking to myself, I might as well throw this out there because, not one, because it's content. Two, for those people that are still trying to look and find their happiness, we always try and basically do the one major thing that we all have to do as far as the dating world and as far as even going out and just trying to socialize. Is one major rule, and I want everybody to understand this. And it's not hard. Be yourself. Just be yourself. They don't like, if there's one little thing they don't like about you, it's boom, done. Be respectful. Because there's many people that literally try to, they don't want to get on it. There's a lot of people that don't want to date because they don't want to get in anybody's way. There's a lot of people that don't want to date because they enjoy their peace. There's a lot of people that don't want to date because they know they don't want rejection and they know they've had some bad stuff happen. Look at this guy. 2 bad relationships in 2008 and 2011, a failed one in 2015, and I kind of had a rough one in 2021 during the pandemic, and it just ghosted off. And you know what? It's fine. I'm not the only one in this in the freaking world who's had crap happening like that. But I will stick up for those people who basically will continue to do whatever they have to do to preserve themselves, hold their peace, try to build that anxiety to get out of their system so they can venture out and meet people. It doesn't matter at this point because every place is different. So I'll shut this down today. basically kind of throwing this out there, and I know there's going to be one day where I'm going to do this list with one of my friends live right here on a podcast, but this is going to be my take on it, and I'm going to get off of here because I don't know how many people I'm going to tick off, and quite honestly, we're doing a YouTube channel on Spotify. This is what I signed up for. I have my opinions. I'm sure you have yours. You've seen that list. Go find it. Go Google it. Go look for it yourself. You like some of this talk that we do, so continue hanging out with this life talk that we do sometimes. Hit the like and subscribe button, and we will continue to do this. I needed to get this off my chest, not just because it was content, but, after our crazy and messed up and very busy Thanksgiving weekend, we kind of need to get some of this off. So whenever I get a chance to get this video out, trust me, you guys will be one of the first to get it, because we all need to kind of come together and just think to ourselves, we're not the villains. We're not the bad guys. Ladies, you're not the villains. You're not the bad guys either. But when you see this list and you see how society has been roaming about for the last handful of years, especially during COVID, and especially with politics and Karens and binaries and all this BS going around, we all watch each other's backs regardless. So, in a sense, I appreciate you hanging out. Appreciate you having a little bit of some fun with me today, listening to my banter. And once again, we are going to continue to put more of this stuff out there. And until then, thank you again. I appreciate you coming out, hanging out with us today. And as I said before, I hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving. This is the holiday season coming up, starting now and going toward. And we will do this again soon. I hope I see you guys again, because until then, as always, the bar is closed. And I will see you bloody legends in the next one. And word to the wise for us people in the dating world, and I quote, be yourself. Late. And oh yeah, bar's closed.